Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture on theories of failure. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about the theories of failure, the most important topic of mechanical engineering and especially in the machine design and strength of material subjects. So in this lecture we are going to discuss it very brief, and as we know that in this statement there is two words, one is theories and one is failure. So word failure, we need to understand the how one component can be fail. So to understand this, first of all we'll discuss about the universal tensile test. Then we'll discuss about the what was the need to develop these theories of failure. So this would be the sequence to understand the theories of failure. So first of all, we'll discuss these two words. One is theories and one is failure. So first we'll understand the word failure here. So in universal tensile test, what we do, we take a component standard specimen and we apply a unidirectional stresses like this. When we apply the stresses, this component will get elongate, and when these stresses will reach up to a particular value, then this component will fail. So if we draw the relationship between stress and strain, in this diagram, this is a typical diagram for ductile material, stress strain diagram for ductile material. So up to this point, the stresses and strain both are in linear proportion. So when this stress will reach up to the yielding point, this point is known as yielding point, and stresses up to at this point is known as yield stress. So at this point, there would be a starting of permanent deformation, and if stresses will exceed the value of sigma yt, this component will have some permanent deformation, and on the removal of stresses from the component it will not regain its original shape. So in this case the component be considered as failed component. And if the stresses will reach up to this point, so this is the point of ultimate tensile stress, and if stresses will reach up to this point, this component will get fractured and component will be a failed component. So there can be a different mode of failure. So first mode of failure is fracture. So in this, the stresses reach up to the ultimate tensile stress, then component will get fractured and component will considered as a failed component. And secondly, if the stresses will exceed the value of or will reach the value of yield stress, or the criteria of failed component is sigma yt. And third criteria can be of deflection. So in this, failure due to elastic deflection, like we can take an example of beam. So beam is designed to permit a particular value of deflection. So because of the load, if that deflection surpass a permissible value of deflection, then that component can be considered as a failed component. So component can be failed in three criteria. One, component can be a break or fracture, so component will fail. Second, if the stresses will reach up to a particular value of stress, that is yield stress, and there would be a permanent deformation in the component and component will fail to perform its intended function, then component can be considered as failed component. And third one is a failure due to elastic deflection. So in this lecture we will concentrate on the failure due to stresses only, these two criteria. So first criteria, failure due to fracture is mainly considered or used in the case of brittle materials. So this is used for brittle materials because brittle material will not show us a significant yielding before the fracture and they will fail suddenly. So in this case there would be a fracture only. So this is considered for brittle material. And yielding criteria or sigma yt is in general used for the ductile material because ductile material before the failure will show us a significant yielding. So this is the criteria used for the ductile material, which but these criteria, this is for ductile and this is for brittle, it's not always true because ductile material also can be failed because of the fracture in some conditions. So we are not going to discuss that. We are focusing on the theories of failure here. So these three can be the criteria of failure of the component. First, if the stresses reach up to the sigma ut stress value of this, the component will fail. Secondly, if the stress surpass the value of sigma yt, then also component can be considered as failed. And third, if the deflection value surpass the permissible deflection, then component can also be failed component. So now, because of in this case there is a unidirectional stresses is acting in one direction only, so we can predict the failure of the component because of the stress. If the stresses will reach up to a level of particular value, then we can say this component will fail. But in real life this is not the scenario. So in the real life, component can be subjected to a multi-direction or complex stress system. So suppose this is the stress system, 3D state of stress. So in this component, stresses are acting in all the direction, sigma x, sigma y, z, sigma z, and similarly there is a shear stresses. So in this, this is difficult to predict the failure of this component because of the stress, because stresses are acting in all the direction. So in this, what we can say, one person can say this component will fail if the cumulative stress or the principal stress will reach up to this value. So here one word which is principal stress. So for that we'll discuss about the principal plane. So the plane on which the shear stresses are zero is known as the principal plane, and the value of normal stress in that plane is known as the principal stress. So there can be in the three-dimensional stress system, there can be three planes, those are perpendicular to each other, and in those planes shear stresses are zero and they will have the normal stresses only, and those stresses are known as principal stresses, and that those stresses can be represented by sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3. Sigma 1 is principal stress in the first plane and sigma 2 in the second plane, and this is the principal stress in the third plane, and all three planes are mutually perpendicular to each other, and the shear stresses in these principal planes are zero. So principal plane in which shear stress is zero, and the value of normal stress in that plane is known as principal stress. So these are the principal stresses, and in general these are organized in this manner. Sigma 1 is the maximum, then the sigma 2, and this is the lowest one which is sigma 3. So in this case one person can say if the value of particular stress will reach up to this value, this can be considered as failed component. And secondly, one person also can have their perception, and that will say if the value of strain, because we are applying the external force on this component, so there would be a strain, so that one person can say the value of strain will, if surpass the particular value, then this component can be considered as failed component. And similarly one can say if the energy stored in this component, because we are applying the external force and the external force will work on this component and that work will stored in the form of energy, so one can have their perception, and that can be according to their point of view, that person can be say if the energy stored in this component will reach up to this particular value, then this component will get failed. So from the universal tensile test we know that the stress when the component is failing, so we know that in the particular plane if the stresses will reach up to this value, then this component will fail. And similarly that stress can be related to the strain by Hooke's law, and we can calculate the particular strain and we also can say if the strain will reach up to this particular value, then component will fail. And in this case, the strain will be the cumulative effect of all the forces, and similarly the stress would be the cumulative or resultant stress in particular plane because of all the effect of all the stresses. And similarly, energy in this system will be the energy due to all the forces acting in all the dimensions. So work done by external force will be stored in the form of energy within the material. So here different person can have the different point of view to consider this component is failed component. So because of these all the point of views, different scientists will had performed experiment, and they back their experiment with the theory also, and they give the different theories to predict the failure of this component. So we can say why the theories of failure are needed, because in the real life there the component can subject to a different stresses in different direction. So in that we cannot predict, or we cannot predict the failure of this component by the failure stresses, because we don't know the failure stresses in this scenario. So we can say the theories of failure are used to get the dimension of the component when it is subjected to combined stresses because of non-availability of this failure stress and under combined loading condition. And secondary, the theory of failure are used to establish a relationship between combined stresses and material property obtained from the tensile test, because in the lab we can use the tensile test to get the material property of to you by applying the universal unidirectional stresses. So that material property can be related to the case of multidirectional stress system. So theories of failure can be used to establish the relationship between stresses because of the combined loading and material property obtained from the universal tensile test. So according to the different point of view, the first theories of failure is maximum principal stress theory. Second, maximum shear stress theory. Similarly, maximum principal strain theory. And this is the maximum strain energy theory and maximum shear strain energy theory. So in general, we are having these five theories of failure. So now we first of all will get the formula for all these parameters. First, the maximum principal stress in the 3D stress system. So there can be three principal stresses: one sigma 1, sigma 2, and sigma 3. So sigma 1, sigma 2, and sigma 3 are the principal stresses in three planes. And similarly, in the case of 2D, there is one sigma 1 and sigma 2, and third principal strain in the third plane, principal stress is 0. And similarly, the maximum shear stress in the combined loading, maximum shear stress, as we know that the maximum shear stress is given by tau max is equal to sigma max minus sigma minimum divided by 2, and the amplitude of it tau max is given by the mode of this one. So in this case we are having three stresses: sigma 1, sigma 2, and sigma 3, and in general these stresses are organized in this manner. Sigma 1 is the largest one, then this is sigma 2, and lowest one is sigma 3. So in this case we can write if the sigma 1 is largest one and sigma 3 is smallest one, so we can write sigma 1 minus sigma 3 divided by 2, and for the amplitude of shear stress we can take the mode of this one. And in the 2D system, if there can be a different scenario, so if the sigma 1 and sigma 2 both are tensile stress, then we can write sigma 1, these both are tensile, and sigma 1 is having more amplitude and sigma 2 is having less amplitude, then there, because the component is three-dimensional component, so in the third there is a zero stress. So sigma this in this, if both are tensile, then we have to write sigma 1 divided by 2, because sigma 1 minus 0. And if both are compressive, sigma 1 and sigma 2 both are compressive, then sigma 2 is in the amplitude, sigma 2 is greater, because and with the sign sigma 2 is lowest one. So in this case we can find out the sigma max. Sigma max is 0 and sigma minimum is sigma 2. So in this case we can find out the magnitude as sigma 2 over 2. And if this is for if both are compressive, this is for if both are tensile, and this is for both are compressive. And if the sigma 1 and sigma 2 both are of the different sign, then we can write sigma 1 minus sigma 2 over 2. So this is the important point we consider. If both are tensile, then this would be the tau max is sigma 1 by 2. If both are compressive, then tau max would be sigma 2 divided by 2. And if both are of the different sign, then this would be sigma 1 minus sigma 2 divided by 2. And the maximum principal strain theory. So maximum principal strain, if the stresses are tensile, so we can write sigma 1 minus Poisson's time sigma 2 plus sigma 3 divided by E. So you can write if the stresses are tensile stress, and if the stresses are compressive stress, then we can write sigma 3 minus Poisson's time. This is Poisson's ratio times sigma 1 plus sigma 2 divided by E. And similarly, in the case of 2D stress system, we can write sigma 1 minus mu sigma 2 divided by E. And this, if both are compressive, then we can write sigma 2 minus mu times sigma 1 over E. If both are compressive and both are tensile, then we can write like this. And the maximum strain energy can be given by 1 by 2 E. I'll write here the formula 1 by 2 E sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square plus sigma 3 square minus 2 times of Poisson's ratio sigma 1 sigma 2 plus sigma 2 sigma 3 plus sigma 3 sigma 1. So this is the formula for maximum strain energy, and in the 2D system simply we can put the sigma 3 equals to 0. So then this becomes sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square minus 2 times Poisson's ratio sigma 1 sigma 2 divided by 2E. And now the maximum shear strain energy, and this theory is also known as the maximum distortion energy theory, so that we will discuss. So the maximum shear strain energy can be given by a formula. This is 1 by 12G sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus sigma 2 minus sigma 3 whole square plus sigma 3 minus sigma 1 whole square. So this is the maximum shear strain energy in the three-dimensional stress system, and in the two-dimensional stress system this is given by 2 multiplied by sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square plus sigma 1 sigma 2 divided by 12G. Simply we just put the sigma 3 equals to 0, we'll get this formula. And now these are the formulas. Still we haven't discussed about the theories of failure. So in the three-dimensional stress system, we know the maximum principal stress value, and we can find out the maximum shear stress, which is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 divided by 2, and maximum principal strain we can find out using these formula. If the all the stresses are tensile stress, then we can use this formula. If the stresses are compressive stress, then we can use the this formula to find out the maximum principal strain. Here we are talking about the sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3 are principal stresses. So from the combined stress system, first of all we have to find out the sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3 values, the values of principal stresses. And this is the formula of maximum strain energy, 1 by 2E multiplied by this factor. This is the formula for maximum strain energy, and this is in the 2D system. And this is the formula for maximum shear strain energy, and this is in the 2D system. Similarly, in the universal tensile test, we can discuss this is universal tensile test, and at the time of failure, when component, or you can say at the time of at the time of failure, this sigma can be sigma yt if we are talking about the ductile material, or this can be sigma ut if we are talking about the brittle material. Then this sigma at the time of failure can be sigma yt and sigma ut, and let's call this sigma yt or sigma ut as sigma maximum, and this sigma maximum is the value of stress at the time of failure in the universal tensile test. So now here we'll write the component or values of these parameters, these five parameters. First, maximum principal stress, second maximum shear stress, this is maximum principal strain, maximum strain energy and maximum shear strain energy. So values of these five parameters at the point of failure in the universal tensile test. First we'll write this can be sigma maximum, sigma maximum is sigma yt or sigma ut. So if the stress reach up to the value of sigma maximum, the component get failed, and the value of this sigma maximum, because sigma minimum is 0, so the value of maximum tau or tau max is sigma max divided by 2, and the maximum principal strain in the case of universal tensile test at the point of failure, this is sigma max. If in this formula we put the sigma 2 and sigma 3 equals to 0, then we'll have this value sigma max divided by E. And the value of maximum strain energy at the point of failure in the universal tensile test, this is sigma max square divided by 2E. If we put the value of sigma 2 and sigma 3 in this formula 0, then we'll have the sigma max divided by 2 over 2E. This sigma max is nothing but it's a sigma 1, because only one stress is applied in one plane and the shear stress in that particular plane is 0. Then this can be a principal stress in that particular plane, and this is value of sigma 1. So sigma max can be written as sigma 1 also, and the value of the maximum shear strain energy at the point of failure in the universal tensile test is given by 2 times of sigma max square over 12g. We simply put the value of sigma 2 in this formula 0, then this becomes 2 times of sigma max over 12g. Here sigma max is sigma 1, because we are applying the stress in one plane only. So that applied stress is itself a principal stress in that particular plane. So now we know all the formulas. Now we will discuss the theories of failure. So according to principal stress theory, an object will fail when at any point the value of principal stress will be equal to the value of principal stress in universal tensile test at the point of failure. So we can make one statement In the combined stress system, I'll write here, according to the theories of principal stress theory, maximum principal stress theory, according to maximum principal stress theory, a component or an object will fail when maximum stress maximum principal stress will be equal to maximum principal stress at the point of failure at the point of failure in universal tensile test. So when the component failed during the universal tensile test, so at the point of failure, what was the value of maximum principal stress? If the maximum principal stress in the combined loading will reach that particular value of the maximum principal stress at the point of failure during the universal tensile test, then this component will get failed. So we can say if the sigma 1, sigma 2 and sigma 3 out of this maximum principal stress will reach the value of sigma maximum during the universal tensile test, and this sigma maximum is the value of the sigma at the point of failure, then component will get failed. Similarly, the maximum shear stress theory, according to this theory, a component will fail when the maximum shear stress in the 3D stress system will reach the value of maximum shear stress at the point of failure during universal tensile test, and the maximum shear stress during the universal tensile test at the point of failure is given by sigma maximum divided by 2. So we can say this is the value of this. So if this is equal to this one, then this component will considered as failed component. So similarly, in the 2D system, we can say if the principal stress is equal to the sigma max, then this component will fail. And in this also you can say if this is equal to this, then this component will get failed. And similarly, maximum principal strain theory, we can say the maximum principal strain in the 3D stress system or combined stress system will reach the value of maximum principal strain at the point of failure in universal tensile test, then this component will considered as failed component. So we can say if this is equal to value of this, either this one or this one is equal to sigma max divided by E, then this component will considered as failed component. Similarly, if the value of in 2D system, the value of this one or this one is equal to sigma max divided by E, then the component will considered as failed component. And similarly, according to maximum strain theory, if the maximum strain energy in the 3D stress system is equal to the maximum strain energy at the point of failure in universal tensile test, then this component will considered as failed component. So this can be written as if this value is equal to sigma max square divided by 2e, then this component will considered as failed component. And in the 2D stress system, you can say if the value of this strain energy is equal to the value of strain energy at the point of failure in universal tensile test, then this component is failed component. And similarly, in the maximum shear strain energy, the maximum shear strain energy in the 3D stress system is equal to the maximum shear strain energy at the point of failure in universal tensile test, then this component is failed component. So this can, if this value is equal to the value of sigma maximum square over 12g, then this component is failed component. Similarly, for 2D stress system, you can say if the value of this parameter is equal to the value of this parameter, then this component will fail. Now the point comes if we consider the factor of safety. So in that case, we can say if we consider the factor of safety, then if this is the sigma maximum, the sigma maximum is maximum principal stress at the point of failure in universal tensile test divided by factor of safety is equal to this one, then this component will fail. So in this case, this can be written as sigma maximum divided by factor of safety, and here also this can be written as divided by factor of safety, and you can divide by factor of safety here, and in this case this can be written as factor of safety, and we can divide by 1 by factor of safety. And in this case, because this is the value of energy, so on energy we cannot apply the factor of safety, always we apply the factor of safety on the stress. So in this case we can write the sigma maximum divided by factor of safety whole square multiplied by 1 by 2e. Similarly here we can apply 1 by factor of safety square. So sigma maximum divided by factor of safety whole square divided by 2e. And similarly in this case we can write 2 times sigma maximum divided by factor of safety whole square divided by 12g. And similarly here we can multiply it by 1 by factor of safety whole square. So this is how we can compare the values of particular parameter in the 3D stress system to the value of that particular parameter at the point of failure in universal tensile test. So this is how these theories of failure works. So now we'll consider the maximum strain energy theory, and we'll talk about this formula from where it comes, and we'll talk about the maximum shear strain energy theory also. But before this, we'll write, because these theories of failure will not be asked directly by these names in the exam. If I say the maximum principal stress theory, so this is understood we are talking about this theory. So in the exam, just to confuse oneself, these theories of failure asked by their originator's name. So maximum principal stress theory, also known as maximum normal stress theory and Rankine's theory. And maximum shear stress theory, and this is the maximum shear stress theory, this is known as by their originator's name Gust and Tresca's theory. So this is GUEST, Gust and Tresca's theory, and this is the maximum principal strain theory, and also written as, sometimes you may find out, maximum normal strain theory, maximum normal strain theory, and Saint Vinet's theory, Saint Vinet's theory, because this is given by these particular scientists. The maximum strain energy theory is given by Hayes theory. And the maximum shear strain energy theory, also now known as maximum distortion energy theory, and Mises and Hankey's theory. This is also known as Mises and Hanke's theory. So in the exam, these theories are asked by their originator's name. So we must know about these names also. So now we'll discuss about the maximum strain energy theory, and we'll also discuss about the how these theories are used to design the component. So for that particular, this is the total strain energy theory or maximum strain energy theory. So the condition of failure in this particular, the condition of failure is written as the condition of failure if the total strain energy per unit volume exceeds the strain energy per unit volume at the yield point or point of failure in universal tensile test. So we'll write a yield point. So the component will fail if the total strain energy per unit volume in the combined stress system will exceed the strain energy per unit volume at the point of failure in the universal tensile test. And for the safe design, we can say for safe design, this total strain energy per unit volume must be less than or equal to strain energy per unit volume at yield point. So as we know that the strain energy given by a relationship, if this is strain, this is stress. So this is the yield point. So area of this, which is given by stress multiplied by strain divided by 2. So this is the strain energy per unit volume. So in the 3D stress system, if we find out the total strain energy per unit volume can be given by 1 by 2 sigma 1 epsilon 1. This is the principal stress in one direction, and this is principal strain in the same direction, plus 1 by 2 sigma 2 epsilon 2 plus 1 by 2 sigma 3 epsilon 3. And we know the formulas of epsilon 1, epsilon 2 and epsilon 3. So epsilon 1 is given as sigma 1 minus mu times sigma 1 minus mu times sigma 2 plus sigma 3 divided by E, and this is epsilon 2 sigma 2 minus mu times sigma 3 plus sigma 1 divided by E, and this is the formula for epsilon 3 or principal strain in the third direction. This is sigma 3 minus mu times sigma 1 plus sigma 2 divided by Young's modulus E. So if we replace these three formulas in this, and if we simplify the formula for this, so we can say the total strain energy per unit volume is given by 1 by 2 E sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square plus sigma 3 square minus 2 times Poisson's ratio sigma 1 sigma 2 plus sigma 2 sigma 3 plus sigma 3 sigma 1. And for the safe design, this must be less than or equal to strain energy per unit volume at the yield point. And we know that this is given by the sigma yt square divided by 2e. So we can say this must be less than or equal to sigma yt square divided by 2e. So if we simplify this, the 2e will get cancelled out by this 2e and will remain with sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square plus sigma 3 square minus 2 times Poisson ratio sigma 1 sigma 2 plus sigma 2 sigma 3 plus sigma 3 sigma 1 must be or less than equal to sigma yt square. Or if we consider the factor of safety, then the sigma yt over factor of safety whole square must be greater than or equal to this value. And in the case of 2D, in the in case of 2D, we can replace the value of 3 sigma 3 by 0, then this becomes sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square minus 2 times Poisson ratio sigma 1 sigma 2, and this must be less than or equal to sigma yt over factor of safety whole square. So we can say this is the equation just analogous to x square plus y square is equal to or minus xy is equal to any constant square, and this is the form of ellipse equation. So you can say ellipse equation. So we are not going to discuss the envelopes of these theories of failure, but if we develop the envelope or the periphery of safe design, then that would be the ellipse for this particular theory. So in the design, this is the way we can use these theories of failure for the safe design. So now we'll consider about the this formula, from where this formula comes and how these theories can be used. And in the similar way, these formulas are simple ones, so we are not going to discuss the derivation of these formulas. And in the similar way, these theories of failure can be used. So next we'll use the maximum distortion energy theory. Maximum distortion energy theory, also known as maximum shear strain energy theory. So MSSET, and in short we'll write MDET. So condition of failure, first of all we can say the condition of failure is if the maximum distortion energy per unit volume exceeds the distortion energy per unit volume at the point of failure in the universal tensile test, then the component will fail. So for the safe design, we can say for the safe design, or we can say safe design condition is the maximum distortion energy per unit volume must be in the 3D stress system, where this is for the 3D stress system, must be less than or equal to distortion energy per unit volume at the point of failure in the universal tensile test. So now we know that the maximum or total strain energy, as we know that the total strain energy is given by volumetric strain energy, total strain energy per unit volume, this is volume, is given by volumetric strain energy per unit volume plus distortion energy per unit volume. So now we'll talk about the volumetric strain energy and what do we mean by distortion energy. So if we are having any component, or the state of stress is something like this, Then in this case, if this is our component, and when the stresses are applied on this, then if only, you can say only volume changes, only volume changes, so there is no distortion energy. So if only volume changes, there is no distortion energy, because distortion energy comes into the picture when shape changes. So we can say if the shape changes, if the shape of object changes, then distortion energy comes into play. So now we'll talk about the formula for distortion energy. So we know that the distortion energy per unit volume, distortion energy per unit volume can be given by total strain energy, total strain energy per unit volume minus volumetric strain energy per unit volume. So already we have find out the total strain energy per unit volume. We know the formula for this one, and we derived the formula of total strain energy per unit volume. So we know that the total strain energy per unit volume is given by 1 by 2 E sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square plus sigma 3 square minus 2 times Poisson's ratio. This is sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 2, sigma 3, sigma 3, sigma 1. So this is the total strain energy per unit volume. And now we know that the volumetric strain energy, suppose this is our equation 1, volumetric strain energy per unit volume is given by 1 by 2 sigma average multiplied by volumetric strain epsilon V. So we know that this is volumetric strain energy per unit volume is given by 1 by 2, as we know that the sigma average is sigma 1 plus sigma 2 plus sigma 3, and volumetric strain is epsilon 1 plus epsilon 2 plus epsilon 3, and we know the formula for epsilon 1, epsilon 2 and epsilon 3 from here. This is the formula for epsilon 1, epsilon 2 and epsilon 3. So we can use these formulas, and if we put the values of epsilon 1 plus epsilon 3 and epsilon 2 plus epsilon 3, this is epsilon 1 plus epsilon 2 plus epsilon 3. If we solve this, we'll find out this is 1 by E sigma 1, 1 minus 2 times Poisson's ratio plus sigma 2, 1 minus 2 times Poisson's ratio, and plus sigma 3, 1 minus 2 mu. The sum of epsilon 1, epsilon 2, epsilon 3 is this one, and if we use this formula into this equation here, then we'll have this is equal to volumetric strain energy per unit volume is given by 1 minus 2 times mu over E. So this is sigma 1 plus sigma 2 plus sigma 3 whole square, because if we take the 1 minus 2 mu over E common, this becomes sigma 1 plus sigma 2 sigma 3, and sigma 1 sigma 2 sigma 3 is already present, so this become whole square, and 1 by 2 multiplied by 1 by 2 mu over E becomes 1 by 6, 1 by 2 mu divided by 6E. So this is the formula for volumetric strain energy per unit volume. So this is our equation 2. So to find out the total distortion energy per unit volume, so total distortion energy per unit volume can be total strain energy. This is equation 1 and this is equation 2. So if we subtract the equation 2 from equation 1, then we'll get this formula. So this is 1 by 1 plus mu over 6E sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus sigma 2 minus sigma 3 whole square plus sigma 3 minus sigma 1 whole square. So this equation minus this equation 2 will give us this formula, and this is for distortion energy per unit volume. So to get the distortion energy per unit volume in the tensile test or one directional, so we can say simple, we'll put the sigma 2 and sigma 3 equals to 0. So we can write to get the distortion energy per unit volume in tensile test at yield point, substitute sigma 1 equals to sigma yt and sigma 2 equals to sigma 3 equals to 0. So this will give us distortion energy per unit volume at the yield point in the universal tensile test, 1 plus mu over 3E multiplied by sigma yt over whole square. And if we consider the factor of safety here, then this formula becomes 1 plus mu over 3E sigma yt over factor of safety whole square. So for the safe design, we know that the value, this value must be less than this value for the safe design. So this is how these theories of failure works. So as we know that for the safe design, distortion energy per unit volume in the 3D stress system must be less than or distortion energy per unit volume at yield point in universal tensile test. So if we replace those formulas, so this formula was 1 plus mu over 6E. We know from here, this is the formula, multiplied by sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus sigma 2 minus sigma 3 whole square plus sigma 3 minus sigma 1 whole square must be or less than 1 plus mu over 3E sigma yt over factor of safety whole square. So this will get cancelled out. So this becomes sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus sigma 2 minus sigma 3 whole square, and this is sigma 3 minus sigma 1 whole square must be less than or equal to 2 times of sigma yt over factor of safety whole square. So in the 2D case, in case of 2D, this can be written as sigma 1 minus sigma 2 whole square plus sigma 2 whole square plus sigma 1 whole square. We just put the value of sigma 3 equals to 0. So this becomes 2 times of sigma yt over factor of safety whole square. So if we write this in this form, and if we solve this, this becomes 2 times of sigma 1 square plus 2 times of sigma 2 square minus 2 times sigma 1 sigma 2 must be less than or equal to 2 times of sigma yt over factor of safety whole square. So these 2 will get cancelled out, and this becomes sigma 1 square plus sigma 2 square minus sigma 1 sigma 2 sigma yt over factor of safety whole square, and sigma yt over factor of safety is known as, or this is known as sigma permissible. So this is sigma permissible whole square. As we know that this is also the equation of ellipse. So the boundaries of safe design or the envelope of this theory is also would be the shape of ellipse. So this is all about the theories of failure and how these theories of failure can be used in the design of component, and why we need the theories of failure. We have discussed everything in this session. So thank you.